Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 6:30. This is the May meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Village of Bronxville. I'm Charlie Law, or Charles Law, as it says on the plaque. And to my left is Jane Regan. To my direct right is Mary Ellen Carpenter. And all the way to my right is Greg Jacknell. We have three applications on tonight. It is, you need to have 3 votes to carry a resolution and to grant a variance. And any decisions that we make can be appealed to the Supreme Court in White Plains. So we'll get started. We're not going to take them in order. We'll go we have 3 applications, I think I said that. 13 Hawthorne Road first, then we will do 29 Ridgecroft, and finally 11 Fortle Road. So who is presenting for, okay.
Hi there, good evening. Over on the easel, I just put one more set of images. The left in existing, the right a proposed rendering, adjacent to the PDF that's on the board. My name is Erica Ellenberger. I'm the architect for the barns. This is an appeal from the denial of the building inspector of the Village of Bronxville, dated April 8th, 2022. And a request for an area variance related to proposed additions at 13 Hawthorne Road in the Village of Bronxville. The property consists of 8,862 square feet and is located on the north side of Hawthorne Road, midway between intersecting streets, Midland Avenue and Studio Lane. It is in the Residence A district of the village and is improved with a 1-family residence, which is currently home to the owners, Jonathan and Joyce Barnes, and their 3 young children. Our project proposes a new 2nd-floor bedroom and bath addition at the back of the house over the existing 1st-floor footprint, and a 1st-floor foyer addition, existing and proposed, that would push out the front door entryway 4 foot 3 inches, not extending beyond the existing front facade. So we're still staying behind these 2 forms to left and right. Allowable FAR is 3,478.3. Existing FAR is pre-existing non-conforming at 4,043.5. The proposed additions total 396.2 square feet. Proposed FAR is 4,439.7 square feet, an increase of 0.045 FAR, or a 4.5% increase, increasing the building's degree of nonconformity. Additionally, the existing side yard setback is pre-existing nonconforming at 10 foot 4 1/4 at the front of the house and 10 foot 5 at the rear. The proposed 2nd-floor addition over the existing 1st-floor footprint, so this rendering back here, has a side yard setback of 10 feet 5 inches and increases the building's degree of nonconformity. The proposed does not comply with the village's zoning code of 310-25-C, as the degree of nonconformity relative to FAR and the side yard setback is increased. An area variance is necessary. I respectfully request that the board, in making their determination, consider the benefit to the owners as weighed against potential detriment to health, safety, welfare of the neighborhood and community if a variance is granted. As to the requested variance, we respectfully submit the following. 1, the grant of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, nor a detrimental effect on the neighboring properties. It is our intent to have the proposed additions appear as if they are part of the home's original design. The proposed exterior palette of stucco walls, black sash windows, copper gutters, and black louvered shutters is to match the existing structure. Additionally, the second floor addition looks to carry existing roof lines along the side of the home with a small pop-up dormer over the rear bedroom to match the existing at the front. We are fortunate to have strong support from neighbors with letters of approval from properties directly to the left and right, numbers 9 and 15, along with homes 10 and 12 across the street. The second-story addition most directly impacts the neighbors at number 15. And while our proposed side yard setback is 10 feet 5 inches, 4'7" less than required, the positioning of the neighbor's home on their lot provides approximately 55 feet between the two structures, which is a generous space between the two volumes. If we go forward to maybe a couple more slides, to the map comparing the next one. So here we are, number 13, and in the packets, in the PDF, we have support from neighbors left and right and across the street. And here's where I'm just talking about the 55-foot difference, despite our deficit of 4'7" on the setback. Point number 2, the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by any feasible method other than the requested area variance. The existing non-conforming property is challenged with an undersized lot area for its lot area and width for its district. The required lot area is 12,000 square feet, where we are 8,862, and the required width is 80, where we are working with 75. Additionally, the home is sited on a lot which encounters steep slopes. When you overlay the setbacks, there are limited options for the bedroom and bath spaces. I might just overlay another. Kind of difficult to see, but on this map is just showing relative to this map here. Right where we have this red area, it indicates very steep slopes, greater than 25%. The pink is a range of 15 to 25. Just in conversation later, I'm just going to talk about how that impacts not only our property, but the 3 adjacent properties kind of downhill that are similar in nature and kind of presented with similar problems of the site. When you overlay, at the rear yard, we have an area outside the required setbacks. However, the grade drops dramatically. And maybe if we go to the site plan earlier on in the set, the first page. And the building, at the rear yard, we have an area outside the required setbacks. However, which is buildable here, here's our line. I'm so sorry, so shaky. As far as setbacks, allowable buildable space. However, the grade drops dramatically, and building in this location, allowing bedroom spaces off the second floor, would require a full 3-story addition, which is not feasible from a cost or FAR perspective. Ideally, we would utilize the square footage quantity expressed in our existing FAR calculation to fulfill the need for bedroom and bath space. However, due to the site's sloping condition, a large portion of our FAR is designated to the basement level, where it's not practical to have a child's bedroom. In short, our existing site characteristics create confines which make it unfeasible to create the much-needed bedroom and bath space for the family elsewhere. 3, the requested variance is not substantial. While we understand that the proposed variance can be considered substantial relative to the non-conforming side yard setback in FAR, we feel that it is not substantial when you consider how the proposed additions fit in with the fabric of the surrounding homes that have similar size lots and challenges of sloping topography. If we just fast forward back to the page with the neighboring properties, homes on Hawthorne Road, numbered 3, 7, and 9, which are also in this pink and red zone neighboring the property there, all appear to have steep slopes like the Barnes residence, with similar lot areas ranging from 7,792 square feet to 10,941 square feet. Performing an FAR study of these properties based on satellite imagery, photos, and Westchester County Geographic Information System maps, we found that all also appear to have non-conforming FARs, which also include the basement square footage in their numbers. My point just being that all these kind of face similar challenges. They tend to be exceeding their allowable FARs, and part of it is because we have this steep slope, we have instances where we're forced to count this volume of basement, even though, you know, the appearance on the front could be quite modest.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, the requested variance will not have adverse effects or impacts on either the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. The proposed second floor addition is designed over an existing first floor footprint, and the proposed first floor bump out is designed to only add a minimal amount of footprint at the front. This small increase in impervious surface at the front is offset by the creation of new pervious planting beds along the existing side yard path. While the existing building coverage is non-conforming, our proposal seeks to reduce the nonconformity with the addition of more green space. Perhaps if we go to the floor plan, I'll just point out, so our new volumes in the front is just this little rectangle here, where we're also working this front stoop. And then the second floor volume is just this little area back, this area back here. There's a little bump out dormer existing in this area. And alongside, I guess it shows up on an image I kind of just took down, we're proposing more green space along this path here to offset any added area here. Number 5, the necessity for the proposed variance is not self-created. With 3 children growing at home and the need to have space to work outside the office, the proposed bedroom and bath spaces are vital for everyday functionality. The granting of the variance will allow much-needed space for the Barnes family, who very much love their neighborhood and home. In conclusion, we respectfully submit that the benefits to the owner outweigh any potential detriment to the community. We appreciate your consideration and request that the zoning board grant the requested area variance.
Thank you. I have one question. I saw in the package several letters in favor from neighbors. You didn't receive any opposition?
No.
Okay. Anyone else?
I have a question. When the Barnes bought the house, it was like this? They haven't added on to it yet or anything? This is okay. So it was way over the far as it was because that's how it was when they bought it. Okay.
How long have you owned the house?
2014. It's a Doyle's house.
Oh, okay.
After you move, they'll call it the Barnes house.
It won't be your house until you've left it. Who knows where you'll be. Any other questions? Any members of the public with comments, questions? No? Okay. So let me propose a resolution. Resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Village of Bronxville grant to the owners of 13 Hawthorne Road, the barns, a variance from Section 310-25C of the Bronxville Village Code. Number one, existing FAR, Florida Area Ratio, to be pre-existing non-conforming to increase 0.456 FAR. And number two, existing non-conforming setback to increase to 10.5, I believe it is. Okay, that is the resolution. Mr. Jackno, your comments and vote?
You're not changing the existing footprint of the house and the front stoop. I've seen tons of houses here in Bronxville do the same thing or have that existing. I approve.
Okay. Mrs. Carpenter?
I must drive by the Barnes' house 100 times a day, living on Hawthorne myself. But it is not a significant change, and I think it will add value to the house, both aesthetically and for their family. And I like the fact that you're adding more green space, because while you're not taking any green space away, you're putting more in, so I approve.
Ms. Regan?
I also vote in favor of it. I think you outlined perfectly why it's, the benefit way outweighs the detriment, and your neighbors are fine with it. It sounds great. Good luck with the project.
Okay, you have the 3 votes, but I'll weigh in anyway. I do agree with my colleagues. I don't think it's all that significant. I think it's necessary, and so I vote in favor as well. So, good luck. You have a year to complete the work, and that's it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Ridgecroft.
Okay. Mr. Dordovic. Well, how are you? Well, I don't know. What is it? Was it the supplement that they sent around?
I didn't get a supplement. Oh, I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, that's fine. Sorry.
I have this.
Oh.
I have this already.
Yeah, we do that.
We have this,
That's
yeah.
fine.
Made copies anyway.
It's in the original packet.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tom Dordovic. I'm the architect and general contractor at 29 Ridgecroft in Bronxville and a resident of the village myself. This request for variance is for the owner. I'm representing Peter Vermette, the owner of the property. He wants to put in a play surface in the backyard, like a basketball area. Being sensitive, we're here for the variance because the property currently exceeds the open space, the building coverage, at 28%. Open space far exceeds 55. The open space is at 60, almost 63%, so open space is way above. Even with the addition of the court surface, the open space is still near 59%. However, he's being very sensitive to site drainage and that. So what he's proposing for that surface, it's a permeable surface on a compacted gravel base with a environmental fabric, and then this porous basketball play surface on top of it. So there's a linear drain also that's already existing there that connects to existing dry wells. The property that we know of has at least a couple in the backyard and probably 4 more in the front yard. No flooding issues, no site drainage issues. This should not be a problem at all, as we're not sort of increasing the ground coverage with the surface being permeable. The site plan on the very first page, A00, shows the location of it. It's in the backyard, behind a fence, in the corner. We do have verbal support from all the neighbors around us. No opposition that we know of. at all.
Let me just ask a question. What's the, I mean, you're putting it's a sport court or a turf.
Sure.
Why is this necessary? I went by the property. I know there's a trampoline in the backyard, and there are a few other things. Is this going to be a big play area? Is there a reason? Go
I
ahead.
mean, it's just a court. It's not that large. It's just that we did in the earlier, during the project, the driveway used to wrap around the back of the house, and there was a large driveway in the back that there was a basketball court on. We've now eliminated that. We have much more green space. So I think they want some little small area of a basketball court again for the children to play on. And instead,
Yeah, the idea is to have the existing trampoline move back, a little bit further.
Right.
Have this beside it, and then the rest is just open grass.
Right.
It's 616 square feet? Is that how big it is?
it is, yeah.
Okay. That's not that small.
And the idea is its size basically get to a normal foul line and, just like the little 3-point line you don't have. It's not a half court, but it's enough to shoot from the foul line.
You didn't want to use your driveway as a basketball court, I gather, right?
We didn't want to. I mean, we thought that from, for optics, it was kind of nicer tucked in the back.
The microphone?
Oh, sorry. So, no, I think, we preferred to keep it in the back. We thought it looked nicer from, from the drive up. Here, this is behind, it's kind of a little tucked in spot where it's a little bit kind of dead space. The main yard is kind of out past this. And so we thought having it in the back was, better optics and have a flatter surface. And I think, we also thought that this way, the neighbors in the back are the ones who are going to see that. So we made sure to talk to, there's 2 behind us and 1 each side. They were all supportive of it. And so that way, anyone driving by is not really going to see it. I mean, I guess you'll be able to see the edge of the court, but you won't see the hoop from the road.
Well, certainly with the new driveway configuration, any hoop would be right there in the front yard. So I guess it's a matter of weighing the unsightliness of that with the issues that your sport court might raise. And this may be better addressed to Mr. Dordovic. Can you talk to us? I haven't done a lot of research on these courts. Generally speaking, I and the board are not in favor of replacing green space with large, and I know this is probably green, but with large surfaces that may or may not be, pervious. They may be impervious, they may be somewhat pervious. How does this stack up against lawn or, dirt?
So it's certainly, I mean, I think it's 75% of as permeable as grass itself. Certainly nowhere near as impermeable as if it was a concrete play surface.
Right.
And I think that's the sensitivity here, that the owner wants to make sure that there is no runoff, there is no extra flooding, the rain that does fall on his property stays on his property. And what's not sort of permeable by that surface goes into that linear edge drain that's right there and stays into the driveways that are on the property.
Have you had problems in this area? I know in certain areas of the village there are some pretty significant flooding issues. When I lived over on Sherman, we had a
Yeah, Sherman,
flock of ducks flying south of the winter landing in our backyard because they thought it was a lake. But do you have these issues?
We've been in since 2020, and we haven't had negotiations.
Okay.
We have, the drivers are there, the drivers are there. If I can add one thing on the court, the other thing which we looked into, which we decided to add, which would be better for this purpose, is there's the sport court, which is the top.
Right.
And then we either put that on top of concrete, which is actually, a little cheaper and more durable, or you put it on top of the ultra base, which is what we're proposing. So basically that way you have both the playing surface and the base are both permanent. So that's what we're proposing here, as opposed to the sport court on top of concrete. Which
Okay.
we're proposing permanent.
Right.
So we didn't permeable all of it.
Okay. Okay.
The ultra base is you either have that or concrete.
Yeah, that I did read. It doesn't give you much, but I understand, yes. What, I know it's going to be hidden by your house, but maybe not from your back neighbors. What color is this going to be?
So we just had to go like a kind of a green, you know, go like a gray, it's gonna be like a gray line for the, like the lines on there, but like an off, green, not really, it's not really grass color, but sort of close.
Okay,
That, I think there's like some blue around the edge, we tried to keep it, you know, not red.
won't be that.
No, not that.
Okay.
I think it's a little green and blue, trying to keep it, you know, very,
Right.
you know, very natural.
Okay.
The site photos on that second page kind of show it, because I drove by and kept snapping photos. So that middle photo,
You have a laser pointer there on the.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, sure. That middle photo there, I was on the property. I was about halfway up, well, I was in their side yard, actually, and then you can kind of see it. But
Right.
here, I'm even like right next to the curb, and you can maybe see a little corner of it right there, but not much at all. You'd really have to get onto the property and walk by it before it becomes visible.
Is there any,
You know, what you don't see yet is, this is, you know, we just have temporary fencing, is doing all the landscaping up. That's gonna, you know, have some sort of, you know, shrubs or more barriers there. So you actually won't, it's not all the way across, but that will be more, like that, the trash bins, that'll be blocked by some shrubbery, and then we're trying to work on that, so, yeah, you know, it won't be completely blocked, but it won't be as open as that.
Right.
is there any maintenance that needs to be done to make sure it stays permeable? Like, you know, does it get clogged by, you know,
I mean, you know, I would think if you got like a ton of sand on it, you would want to hose it off, because we would anyway for like just plain safety, but, I mean, you know, I've been told if you get cracks, you can just replace the tile, but other than that, it would be, you know, unless you have like a lot of like runoff onto it, it's all sand or mud, and you know, basically the rain would continue to wash things off.
So I just want to get a little bit clearer on this, and maybe it's Paul who'll have to answer this for us, but this is about building coverage that we're trying to give him the variance for? Okay, so the allowable building coverage is 22.5% by the code. Currently, it's at 28.6, and this would make it at 32.7. Is that correct?
I'll take that back. So, and then this is where the gray is. 32.7 is if it was concrete.
Oh,
So I don't know how this,
so does this, then maybe Paul knows the answer, is this considered open space or not? It's not, right?
No, it would be considered part of the building.
Building coverage, right.
part of
Right,
building
this is the
coverage,
new
okay.
definition.
So I guess it is,
Coverage.
sure. I think that's just where it's sort of a little, for me, it's confusing. I used to always go by calculations that were pervious, impervious, and that was the calculation. So here we call it building coverage.
Well, it seems like the code has changed now to that these things are all included in building coverage.
Say that again?
The code has recently changed, I believe, to include these things in building coverage.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure, sure.
So anything besides your driveway, I guess, is that what you said?
Right,
Paul?
it's just that the implication that if it's under building coverage,
Right.
it's all impervious. And in this case, that's not really.
It's not impervious, right?
It's
Yeah.
somewhere in between.
the blend?
But pools are now considered part of it too, you know, where that's, you know, another issue. So,
Yeah.
so the only variance we're talking about is for the building coverage, going from 22 to 32. Okay. Pre-existing at 28, moving to 32.
Right. Any other questions, comments? Anyone from the public want to speak to this application? No? Okay. Hearing nothing further, I will propose a resolution. Resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Village of Bronxville grant a variance to the owners of the property at 29 Ridgecroft Road, from section 310-9 of the Bronxville Village Code, building coverage pre-existing non-conforming at 28.60, Maximum allowed building coverage, 22.5. Proposed building coverage, 32.7. The variance requested is 10.2%. Okay, Ms. Carpenter?
This one's a little tricky for me just because it's not, it's sort of a mixed. It's permeable, so it's not creating significant issues, but it's not green space. So it's sort of, and there probably are some other alternatives available, but I assume this will be something that will be there for a period of time and ultimately will be moved away once your children get to a certain age. So I'd prefer the green space, and I'd prefer a hoop in your driveway, because that's my personal opinion of how, how it should be used. So I'm going to vote against the variance.
Mr. Jackno?
It's permeable. I think it's interesting technology. I approve.
Ms. Regan?
I'm going to agree with Mrs. Carpenter in that I went through all the benefit detriment tests, and it's, is it undesirable? No. Can it be achieved by another purpose? Well, like we say, there are other ways to play basketball. It doesn't seem substantial, but when we're talking about what the new code is, 22% is what we're going for. This is 32%. So going up only a few percentage or taking away some more of your open space out there is not as small as it sounds. And is it self-created? We go through these things, and, well, it is. It's not a necessary thing, so it's, if you want to have a basketball court, it seems like maybe there's another way to do it. I don't know where on your property that might be, but, so I'm going to agree with Mrs. Carpenter and vote against it.
No, okay. Since 3 votes are required, the variance is denied. However, I'm going to put my vote on the record. I am very much in favor of green space, and I mean grass and trees, green space. In this case, although I do believe that the change in the driveway has sort of self-created this situation, I believe that it's in the backyard. It's somewhat unobtrusive. I have not heard anything from neighbors. So I would vote in favor, but the variance is denied either way.
Can I just ask a follow-up question?
Yes.
Ms. Carpenter? You'd prefer that there was a basketball hoop on the front driveway?
Or wherever it would work. I just prefer not grass to be, even though it is permeable, it's still not grass and it's not green space. So that's my,
Can I just ask one more question, make sure it's clear, and I respect
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
decision, obviously, but this was a driveway previously that we had turned into grass, on a temporary basis. Were you aware of the fact that this was, and the driveway was much larger than what we're proposing? Just to make sure that was clear.
Yeah, we were on, we were on the board.
I would have voted for you, so.
No, okay, I just want to make sure that's all.
Well, yeah, because the driveway then you put there, and you said it used to be the driveway went around the back and it was a basketball hoop, right?
Yeah.
So
Just change the driveway. That's all.
Okay.
Okay.
I agree with playing basketball in the back is a better idea than in the front, I guess, but you're just adding more now. You already have both then. This way you're having both instead of just the driveway they used to have.
All right. Okay. Okay, now we come to the application at 11 Fortle Road. Mr. Davis.
Good evening. My name's Dean Davis. I'm the architect for the Favreaus on this project. Mr. and Mrs. Favreau are here, Lisa and Ken, and I will try and lead you through this. This is a great, I haven't used one of these electronic before. So this is the application. I guess significant in that, what I mention at the bottom in this is that this lot got it seems hit particularly hard with this new rule about, you know, building coverage, all right? And there's no, obviously, we have to abide by it. But basically what happened in this case is they went from 19% coverage to 31% coverage overnight. It also, the setbacks changed too, and it made part of their garage, a substantial part of their garage, non-conforming. So, you know, this house went from being conforming to being non-conforming. So, what I had been discussing with the Favreaus prior to the change in law about doing this garden structure, or as we call it, a garden room, which is the way I like to look at it. So we designed something, and basically it conforms with everything except building coverage. In other words, floor area ratio, height, you know, setback area, setbacks, et cetera. Everything is conforming on it. And how do we change these things? How do can I change those or move them? Can I change to pictures or something? Okay, thank you. Great. So I was going to move, we wanted to come to this picture right here. Okay, so this is the site plan. It's a corner lot. And what we're talking about is an addition right here, all right? And the reason for the addition in the design, the intent is you will be voiced, I think, and reinforced by the Favreaus, is that the project objective was to obtain privacy. What had happened in this 20 years ago, we built this swimming pool here, and the Favreaus, in accordance with the code, put up screening here, you know, thick hedges here, trees planted, et cetera, and along this side here too. It's the property to the west. Now, what's happened over the years is that these trees in this area have gotten huge, and they want to take them down, but they still want to have privacy in their swimming area, and they would also love to have a structure that would act as a screen porch. In the summertime, it would be really a year-round room. It would have a fireplace in the wintertime, but it has a huge amount of glass in it, which I'll show you, where they're trying to get sunlight into this area, breezes, et cetera, and have something that relates to their swimming pool. All right, this is a great picture here for it. All right, so here, this is the plan of the room. It is located off of their current family room and their eating area and their kitchen. I have plans to, I can offer those too. But basically, the room, this is poolside here, as you can see, large doors opening up to it. This is the side facing north, and it has this fireplace here, and this is the elevation to the west, and this is the southern elevation here. Now, the room is very simple. It has a conversation area here and sliding doors that lead out to the swimming pool, and also a small eating area and a wet bar. So it becomes a very nice den, shall we say, or a very usable room for them that you know, can relate to the pool area. Whereas there are other spaces, you know, this does relate to it, but it's just sliding or French doors down to the pool terrace, et cetera, from here. And whereas this would now, you'd be really feeling and seeing part of that pool area. So that was, I do want to stress that this also provides the privacy to their closest neighbor on this side as well. So they wish to redo all of the landscaping around the pool, and they want to get rid of these large trees that are over in this area and be able to have bushes, smaller plants, flowering plants, et cetera. So it's a rethinking of the area with this room being sort of centered into this space for them. So I think it would provide the family a huge amount of enjoyment, and you know, and also would be attractive. So the second major objective here, project objective, was design on it. And so if you, we have pictures. We have pictures here. Let's see. Okay. Okay, I don't know if we can rotate that, but this is a Tudor-style home, all right? Like so many Tudor homes in Bronxville, which is really famous for the number of them that they have, that were so well done by architects like Louis Bowman, et cetera. But anyway, what I want to point out here, if we don't get this rotated, this is the front of the house. And here you see, you know, the characteristic timbering, stucco infill, stone on the lower level, et cetera. So this theme, and also other things, architectural forms, like these roof pitches, which say Tudor. It is a very steep pitch. It's steeper than normal that we see. It's a 15 and 12. That means 15 inches vertical for every 12 inches horizontal that you go. So it becomes a very steep roof. Slate roof, quality materials, et cetera. So if we could go back to the elevations again. Thank you. So here you see we're utilizing those things: stone chimney, stone veneer here, stucco up here, timbering on the elevation that faces the street with stucco infill and stone below. So I'm trying to use the same language here, and we're even using the same roof pitch, which you can see here. This pitch here, roof pitch, matches the pitch here and the pitch here on the roofs. So trying to use the same architectural language. And that basically is what the gist of the project. Now, our issue here is that we are asking for a 1.8 increase in the amount of lot coverage. The building is 369 square feet. It is, it's small footprint, and it's 1.8% of the entire lot. They have 19,000 and change square feet on this lot. It's a very spacious lot. So it's not a big increase at all. So it's not substantial as far as getting the variance. And that again, as I said, this is the only variance we're seeking. It's just that 1.8% increase in building coverage. So the I guess the question is, if I could go back to the site plan again.
How high is the roof on the addition?
22 feet.
22 feet. So the footprint is small, but the roof is
Yeah, it is, and that's
a lot of space.
Yeah, you're climbing, as I said, every 12 inches, you go up 15 inches here, et cetera. So that, as you see, matches the roof, the existing roofs. That's
Well, yeah.
the way it is. Yeah. Thank you.
Did you consider any other options for like making a room like this by taking part of the house and making it bigger and facing the pool? I mean, you know, is there a room there you might have used?
Yeah, you know, thought you might answer asking questions. Let me do this. My plans don't, unfortunately, have full first floor plan on it.
No, that's okay, just because we always want to consider alternatives. Oh. Thank you.
We have our little slot here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this shows the first floor layout. So the question is where could an alternate place be?
Right.
Well, you know, on the eastern side of the property here, you see the garage, side entry, stairs to the basement, then you get into the kitchen, family room, and then the area there. And that's really where you want to have it, because this really is a family type space. It's not a formal dining room or a formal living room. So I didn't see anywhere where we could plug into the back of the house but this spot and have the footprint to be able to have the type of space they were looking for.
The family room on here isn't really accessible to the pool, the one that's currently,
It's not accessible.
okay.
Correctly, that's correct. Yeah, and this room too is, it's really like a screen porch, and you're going to open up good-sized spaces, trying to get the air moving in the summertime. But it is not air-conditioned. So it's really to be treated like that. There's going to be tile floor, stone floor in there, and it's, so it's really, if you can imagine sort of like a screen porch that could be closed off, that's what this is like. And that's why they want it to relate to this pool directly. So I think that it could be a great flow if you know, if it's granted. Again, if you look at this floor plan here, I don't see any place else to plug it in. And again, we're within all the areas. We're within the rear yard, side yard, et cetera.
Right.
The footprint is again, 1.8%.
What about lowering the roof?
Sorry?
What about lowering the roof?
Lowering the roof is a possibility. And I know that the Haydens are here this evening because they have issues with it. And perhaps we could move on to that. But I didn't know if, Kent, Alicia, did you want to add to anything I've said so far relative to, desirability of the space, how you would use it, so.
My name is Ken Favreau. Nice to meet you.
He's going to ask you to go to the mic.
Glad to let the easy one for last. I would just emphasize two things. One is privacy, and the other one's integrity. So our project objective was privacy. There's no screening between our neighbor and our pool, other than the trees that are being provided right now by us, which, as Dean said, we want to have come down. So this is about providing screening.
Let me ask you about that.
Yeah.
So all of this, the genesis of all of this is you want to take down those trees? I went over there and looked. I mean, there's
No,
some
we
beautiful,
wanted-
mature
we
spruce
wanted-
trees, I believe they
Project
are.
objectives was a sunroom to be able to enjoy our
Right.
pool
Right.
with fewer bugs and more privacy.
Okay. All right.
That was the project objective.
Yeah, yeah, no, no.
Design objective was integrity. Hence the steep roofs, the same materials as the rest of the house, so that the house has integrity, the neighborhood has integrity, and the village has integrity.
Right. I understand
So
that.
the design objective is actually what's creating the height, and the structure itself is what's creating the privacy.
Well, but with a lower roof, you'll have less privacy, right?
Yeah. The actual height of the roof is actually lower than the height of the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would also like to point out to you, if I could just correct that.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. That there is a retaining wall along this property here, where the property to the west side is 6 feet higher than Favreau's property.
Yes, I know
Okay?
that.
And then, on top of that, the pool terrace is another 18 inches below that. So they do get, you can see how this structure would really work as far as giving them some privacy and screening from here. And also, I understand that this is the driveway side of the house here on
Yeah.
Hayden's.
So you literally mean the building itself, the room you're adding is going to be the private, the wall is going to give the privacy from the neighbors to the left, who won't be able to see the pool area as well with a building in front of them, instead of trees.
And it works both ways, because the Haydens have a pool in their backyard, and they now get screening from privacy on their side.
But the trees aren't providing that privacy right now? The trees aren't providing it?
They are, but they wish to take them down, because these trees have gotten immense. They're big, they're like 12 feet, 12, 14 feet diameter at the base, and they'd like to get sunlight in and be able to use this area of the yard, which they can make very attractive garden lawns. And then this garden structure sort of placed in the middle of it, that's the concept.
Okay.
Are there, does the property have any water issues?
No, I mean.
Drainage?
No, there's a full basement there, and, no, there's nothing like, on the other side of, White Plains Road, no. No.
Right, because water issues are something we always think about when you add more building, obviously.
Yeah.
We're worried about water going somewhere.
So,
All I would add is, and I don't know if all of you are familiar with the property, but on the Hayden side, that whole side is their driveway with, not very much between the driveway and the retaining wall to us. So even when we first planted those trees, they were 6.5 foot, because we were very conscious when we put our pool in to put 6.5 feet all the way around inside our property to screen the pool. But at 6.5 feet, that's looking at their floor as it is, right? So fast forward to 15 years or so, it's been since we did that. These trees have gotten enormous up, but they've also gotten enormous this way, and have eaten up tremendously into our yard. And so what we've already done at the back of our property is taken a lot of those down and put in a 6.5 foot taxus hedge. And on this side, we want to put in, you know, we're talking with our landscaper, but we'd like to put a tree. We had to take down a maple that was dying and put a maple over on that side, something that has more of a, that will eventually grow and have more of a stump as opposed to, you know, giant base at the bottom. And so, but if we take those down, and there are gaps in them as it is, we've already taken some down because they had grown too close together. We did that in conjunction with discussing that with the Hayden. They were happy to have more airflow, but along with the airflow, we have more visibility between the properties. And so their driveway's right there. There's cars there, there's people there. They also have a pool. You know, we thought that this is gonna be an easy way to provide at least screening from part of the pool area from that property, which does not have screening on their side, to their pool and their driveway and all of that. So that's sort of just to give you the visual, because we're way below. There's only so much we can do to provide that, you know.
Well, have you considered, instead of building a structure, I mean, it sounds like you want privacy, you want to take down these trees, so you're essentially wanting to build a, you know, to put up a screening wall and build a room around it.
Well, I will say that the room, wanting to put
Yeah.
the room in was
No, I'm sure it's
first, and then
an independent
in order to do that, we have to take those trees
request.
down because they're eating into the property.
But is there a way to give you the privacy with new trees or new shrubs or something on the Hayden side? That's really the question.
It was a twofold thing, though. One of it was wanting to have this more sort of indoor-outdoor space around our pool, which we don't have. I think with this pandemic, the last 2 years, a lot of us have felt like it would be nice to have more sort of indoor-outdoor with a lot of
Right.
flow space. And so that was what started the whole process. In fact, when I spoke with Dean in the beginning, we actually have a patio at the front of the house that we never use. Never. It was part of the original house. And I said, can we screen that in any way? And he very quickly said, that's not where you hang out. That's not the part that ties into where your family is. You should be doing something at the back of your house. And that's how that all started. So the goal was to have a indoor-outdoor sort of space. Okay. And that is the one location back there where that works. And in order to do that, we do have to take screening down because it's already getting way too big down there. It's eaten way into our lawn space as it is. So yes, we can replace that with different screening, but to get that height again, given how much lower we are to their property, is difficult to do quickly. So that also became what I thought was a bonus for both properties, that we are automatically providing this screening in a location where there is no screening on their side from their driveway or their pool. And on our side, we do have very tall screening, but it's gotten a bit too big and, like I said, eaten into all the green space that we have on the ground area there because these trees get so wide at the bottom.
Thanks. Anyone else? Any other Anything else?
Any other questions for me, or?
Not from up here, as far as I can tell.
I think so.
Anyone from the public?
I don't know the property that well. I did come look quite a bit from where I could see. But is there a way to get privacy around the pool area, not so close to the Haydens, like something a little closer to the pool? Is that what's like right around the pool right now? I can't really tell from looking at this. Could you put trees and,
I mean, we are on a corner lot, so we are
Right.
restricted quite a bit on the other side
Yeah.
of the pool.
yeah, I walk by that.
And
I think she may be talking about something like a pool house at the end of the pool.
Or something
so at the
around-
end of the pool, we're
Might
in
not
our
interfere.
front, we're in a front yard, right? Unless we come to this side and then.
No, 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 the other side.
Yeah, the other side,
Lower, sort of a bungalow type of thing, you know, something like that.
I mean, the property is tiered there as well, because we, Fordle goes downhill, so the property got tiered when we put the pool in. So, yes, could we put I don't know, a pergola or something like that, but it wouldn't be attached to the house and have that sort of
Right.
indoor-outdoor space that relates to the house,
So do you have a patio out there right now that you use? Yeah, there is a patio that you sit out.
Over by the pool.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks
but
like-
it's down further from the house. Or it's down steps, so it's hard to connect it to the house at that point because it steps down and there's a stairwell down to the basement and there's window wells for the basement as well.
Okay, Mr. Hayden?
I'm Jim Hayden, lucky enough to be the neighbor of the Favreaus, who are wonderful neighbors. We do, however, have some concerns with the addition that we've shared in our letters with you, and I think those were set forth. I understand that when you're considering an area variance, that you're supposed to look at the benefit to the applicant versus the detriment to the neighborhood, and I think we're the relevant neighborhood in this regard, given the location of the project. And the first consideration is whether there's an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. And we think that the size, height, length, and proximity of the addition is a detriment to our property. And if you look at our side of Fordle Road, the properties are the houses on the properties are fairly narrow. And there's a vista that runs from Course View, and it used to go all the way to North Plains Road until 3 Fordle Road came in and extended their property into that vista. But there's still a remaining area that has that, and so I think cutting it off a bit with the structure would be a detriment to that side of Fordle. But more particularly, I think we see the addition as being 2 stories tall as a real blockage to our vista in replacing the vegetation that's there now. And their house would go from 48 feet to 64 feet, so about a 25% increase in the residence that we face. Ours is typical of the neighborhood, only 24 feet wide at that point. And the northeast corner would move 14 feet closer to us, so instead of 32 feet, it would be 18 feet. And I agree with Dean that it doesn't violate the setback, it doesn't violate the FAR or the height limits. The only violation is that it would be 50% above the surface area under the new rules, obviously not the old rules. But we do have an issue mainly with the bulk of the addition. And I guess I'm sorry to hear that all of the trees will be coming down. Is that?
No, it's definitely the one that is right there.
Right.
It would need space to get around the house at the base. The other one we've discussed with you, it has a huge dead piece in it.
Right, where another tree had been growing. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Right, because you, on the eastern edge, there's, I don't know whether it's yours or our other neighbors, we have that line of, I don't remember what the trees are, but they're fairly tall, but they stay narrow. Yeah, that. Yeah, and part of the people on Addington have plantings that extend on both our properties. So, but again, they're narrower than, you know, and we would have no problem with that kind of coverage. Sure, if you want to, yeah.
I was just going to say that because you're 6.5 foot higher than us, to buy something that, you know what I mean? Like, to buy something that gives that same height all over again would be very expensive.
Cheaper than that. No, we would be willing to wait. So, and, you know, we, and the question whether, you know, is whether the benefit can be achieved by some other means. And we were hoping that there could be, as Dean mentioned, a lower structure rather than the 22 feet, maybe, you know, 10 or 12 feet, which is, you know, when they pushed out the garage in the back of the house, those roofs were lower and less sloped. So, I mean, they weren't complete separate structures, but there is some precedent on their property for lower and less sloped.
Yeah, we have a little bit of an issue, but he has recorded his vote, so
Okay.
we'll. I'm assuming everything, that's okay, but.
Yeah, so I guess in terms of the alternatives, we've discussed them. They were quite gracious and cooperative about it, but we haven't been able to reach alternatives. And as to whether it's substantial, I can't add anything to what Dean said. It's not substantial from what's existing in terms of the surface area, but it is a 50% increase above what the law allows, leaving aside the grandfathering. And, you know, that's essentially our position. So thanks for listening to us. And
Thank you.
Thank you guys for being so considerate.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, are there any other comments or questions or comments from the public? Okay, hearing none, I will propose a resolution resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Village of Bronxville grant to the owners of 11 Fortle Road a variance from Section 310-9 of the Village Code, building coverage 22.5% allowed, 31.4% existing, 33.2% proposed, 10.7% increase in non-existing building coverage, or non-compliant building coverage. Okay, Ms. Regan, comments, vote.
Okay, well, I'm going to say some similar things I said in the last case, because that was, you know, the one on Ridgecroft. We did this new code at 22.5% coverage for a reason, and I know a lot of your stuff existed prior to that, but what you're doing is adding a whole nother big piece of coverage, which then brings you up. I know it's not substantial, but it goes from 22 to 32%, which is substantial if you look at it just that way. And I think it's going to happen all around town, that people are going to get their, you know, their building coverage number changed once they have to add in either pools or patios or decks or whatever they have to add. So I'm sure they took that into consideration when they worked on that and changed the code. So is it undesirable? It looks like it'll be, you know, a lovely room for anybody, but is there another way you can achieve the privacy? Well, I think we know there is. We can do different trees. You can keep those trees, all that. The benefit detriment when your neighbors are right there, and this is going to be a big looming building there, and it's taking up more of the yard, and I just can't see that the benefit outweighs the detriment for all these reasons, so I'm going to vote against it, against the variance.
I agree with Janie. I think there was a lot of thought that went into the change in the zoning laws when they were put together, and part of it was because we do have small pieces of property in the village, and we don't want all the green space eaten up by a lot of additions. There are some things that are necessary, but I think in this case, there may be some other options you could pursue. So I'm going to deny the variance.
Okay, and we do have Mr. Jackno's vote. He has recorded a no vote. I don't know that it's going to be an issue. My views are as follows. Number one, there are a couple of things. Number one, I hate to see trees come down, but I understand your reasons for taking them down. Number two, it's not substantial as a square, in terms of square feet, but indirectly the effect of it is substantial. It's a very tall addition, and it extends out and really blocks the neighbor's view. So in my view, there is a detriment to the neighborhood. But the main thing is, I'm not convinced that alternatives were pursued. I mean, there are certainly a lot of creative, and you have a very creative architect here, one of the best. And so, there are a lot of things you could do. As I said, you could put a pool house at the end, and you could have that desired privacy. Probably wouldn't even need to come back for a variance. You could put up some greenery or something like that. So, my feeling is that alternatives really have to be explored in a situation like this. Given all of that, I also agree with my colleagues here. I was part of the whole code, changing, and one of the specific reasons that we changed the coverage rules was because we wanted to maintain what little green space we have in this village. And so we don't want a lot of, additional coverage. I am going to vote no on the variance. And with that, unless there's any other comment, the meeting is adjourned. Yes, go ahead. Sure.
One comment in terms of, yes, there are a lot of other alternatives that explored. I will say that we were a bit blindsided by the Hayden's objectives because we had verbally, or at least Mary Lou and I had verbally talked about this many times, and they had never raised any objection when we were talking about the planning process. So that is why we didn't explore a lot of other alternatives other than that. That's just an explanation.
Well, it's not just the Haydens either. You could very well have gotten denied without the Haydens' objections.
No, I get that.
Okay.
And my question, when you're talking about the sort of 22% versus what, I just want to clarify, because I know I asked Mr. Taft this as well. We're not being forced to go back to 22. So we are grandfathered at the coverage we have.
Correct.
So basically, as long as we maintain.
No, you don't have to take out.
Oh, no, you have to take it out, but we don't want to add more.
No, not at all. You're absolutely correct.
Just wanted to make.
Well, Paul could speak to that, but I'm almost positive that's the case.
Can you imagine
You'd have
everybody
a
had to
legal
take
issue.
out?
Yes, what would happen if you had to replace that building, you could put it back, according to the provisions of 31025. That's for pre-existing non-conforming buildings. So I would refer you to that, and yeah, you're okay. You can stay in your house. Thank you.
The code is for going forward, which is what we're.
Yeah, you're right. It's for going forward. Okay.